No matter which side you're on, you're pretty sure that your leaders have failed you when it comes to COVID-19. Whether it's your government leaders, the media, or even bosses and CEOs who control your job. We're going to take a look at some of the information that's been put out there by our leaders and figure out which information is true, which information is false, and kind of look at a timeline on how this all came about. You may keep hearing phrases like flatten the curve and not know exactly what that means. We keep hearing projections about how 40% of the world's population could get coronavirus, or maybe even 50%. Now it's all the way up to 60%. These projections are based on whether or not we're able to slow the spread before our hospitals get overrun with too many patients and not enough hospital beds. The dotted line is supposed to represent the healthcare system's capacity for treating coronavirus patients. The red line is what will happen and how far over the dotted line we will go if we cannot flatten the curve. The flattened version of the curve is the blue line, where we stay below the healthcare system's capacity for treating victims of coronavirus. In Italy, they had so many people get sick so quickly, they had to start turning away patients over a certain age. In reality, the entire country could end up with the virus as long as they're all able to get treated within a decent amount of time. I can't answer whether or not it should be worth it to shut down the entire economy just to stop some people from dying. But I can tell you that currently our government is not doing nearly enough to stop us from turning into Italy, or even worse. The spread of coronavirus has gone exponentially fast since the first case. Italy looked particularly bad, but now the United States has definitely surpassed them in number of cases and soon number of deaths as well. We're not getting ventilators out, and we're not shutting down enough cities and getting people off the streets to stop contact. Meanwhile, lots of people are launching claims at our media saying that they are fear-mongering and scaring people as a ploy to make our president look bad. And if you find information that the media is giving that is inconsistent with what scientists are saying, then you should definitely not listen to them. And it's true, lots of media members have been lying. Some keep saying that the coronavirus is just a ploy from the Democrats or from the Chinese to impeach Donald Trump, with absolutely no proof to this whatsoever, not even an inkling of evidence. And in the meantime, they keep telling people coronavirus isn't a big deal, that you can keep going outside and getting seats at the best restaurants, that shutting down schools and stopping people from going to work is only going to hurt the economy, but it's not going to save you from the coronavirus. No one is going to claim that Donald Trump and China are the best of friends. But the fact that he happened to have their back at a time like this just seemed very odd. On January 24th, Donald Trump tweeted, "China has been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency, and it will all work out well. In particular, on behalf of the American people, I want to thank President Xi." And while President Xi Jinping did do more to stop the coronavirus from spreading than Trump and the United States at the time, they were also suppressing doctors and scientists from speaking, fudging numbers of infected people. And they even detained a Chinese doctor for warning his medical school classmates in December. He died from the virus 2 weeks after Trump's tweet. On March 9th, he tweeted, "So last year, 37,000 Americans died from the common flu. It averages between 27,000 and 70,000 per year. Nothing is shut down. Life and the economy go on. At this moment, there are 546 confirmed cases of coronavirus with 22 deaths. Think about that." Today's date is April 2nd, 2020, at 9:20 p.m. The coronavirus cases have grown to 859,768. Deaths, 42,340. And these numbers are hard to believe, actually, because we don't have enough testing. The more testing that goes out, the more cases that we find, which leads us to believe that actually we may not even be testing half the amount of people who are currently infected. Brian Kemp is the governor of Georgia. A little while after he made an executive order to shelter in place for the entire state of Georgia, he was asked why he made that decision. His answer was finding out that this virus is now transmitting before people see signs. So what we've been telling people from directives from the CDC for weeks now, that if you start feeling bad, stay home. Those individuals could have been infecting people before they ever felt bad, but we didn't know that until the last 24 hours. That quote came from April 1st. I can't tell you when exactly the information about the coronavirus went public, like when the parts about you being able to infect others without showing any symptoms. But I do know that I did a live broadcast on March 7th talking about the virus and informing my audience about the dangers. And in that video, I explained all of this information. You literally just have like a flu or like a cold symptoms, and maybe even not that. Like maybe you don't even have that. You don't have a runny nose. You don't have a little cough. Sometimes you have no clue whatsoever that you're carrying it. And in the meantime, you are getting everybody around you sick. A 31-year-old high school dropout working in the service industry somehow knew more about this virus than the people we've elected to run our country. The people who are supposed to be protecting us. I think not. I think they're all liars. There's no way that Trump and Kemp and all of these other Republican leaders can pretend that they had no clue about this when somehow I did. Everybody knew this information. But on March 21st, Trump came out and said that he knew nothing about it. All of the information that I shared on a live stream on Facebook with a couple hundred people, our President of the United States, who was advised by the CDC, by the World Health Organization, by doctors and scientists all over the world, he says he has the best people. Somehow, I was able to get this information. The rest of the United States population was able to get this information. And our President of the United States says he didn't know. And since January 21st, our government has failed miserably at getting COVID-19 testing out to the American people, especially in comparison to other countries like South Korea. On February 2nd, the death toll had already topped 300, including the first fatality outside of China. The World Health Organization had already declared this a public health emergency. Trump said, "We pretty much shut it down coming in from China. But we can't have thousands of people coming in who may have this problem, the coronavirus. So we're going to see what happens, but we did shut it down." On February 14th, Trump said there's a theory that in April, when it gets warm, historically, that has been able to kill the virus. So we don't know yet. We're not sure yet. Meanwhile, hot places like Ecuador, the Philippines, the Middle East, had already gotten hundreds of cases at that point. He spread theories with absolutely no factual backing, and even contradicted Dr. Fauci. At the point when Trump said this, just a couple days earlier, Dr. Robert Redfield, the director of the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, had just said that this virus is probably with us beyond this season and beyond this year. Meaning that even once it was summer and after summer, back into winter, it wasn't going anywhere. On February 24th, the S&P 500 falls 3.4%. Worst day in 2 years. Shortly after, Trump tweets, "The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. We are in contact with everyone and all relevant countries. CDC and World Health have been working hard and very smart. Stock market starting to look very good to me." As different states scramble for more ventilators, more masks, more testing, the Senate debates over which bill they're going to pass and how much money they're going to give the American people. Democrats try to sneak in legislation for all sorts of different things, and Republicans try to give big businesses big bailouts once again. On March 2nd, Trump claims that there's going to be a vaccine pretty soon. Maybe he was talking about soon as in within the next couple of years. But according to the healthcare experts, the soonest that any sort of vaccine would be available was within a year to 18 months. On the same day, the president said from 27,000 to 70,000 people get infected and many die. Think of it as 27,000. You lose 27,000 people to the common flu. But there are tests for the flu already in stock, ready to go. And there are also vaccines for the flu and medication for the flu. None of these things are ready for coronavirus. And also the coronavirus seems to be a lot more deadly. And now day by day, cases seem to continually get worse. Finally, around this time, news anchors start to change their tune on Fox. They take coronavirus a little bit more seriously. Where at first they were saying that the coronavirus is just something that Democrats are drumming up. CNN is fear-mongering. The Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's are all just trying to get Donald Trump impeached again. Coronavirus isn't really that big of a deal. But now they're starting to say that this is a pandemic. This is scary. There's something to really be afraid of with this. There's real reason to start shutting things down in our communities.
At worst case scenario, it could be the flu.
I feel like the more I learn about this, the less there is to worry about.
I was about to say the same thing. We don't have immunity to this virus. It's a new virus. It's a pandemic strain of a virus we haven't seen before.
While they all eventually got it together, and our government started to make the right moves, it may have been a little bit too late. The United States was spreading coronavirus at a very fast rate, and only time will tell how quickly our hospitals will fill up. But it does not seem that we have flattened the curve. All you have to do is just mention that the coronavirus exists, and some people will say that you are fear-mongering. But in reality, you don't really have much to be afraid of as long as you are doing the right thing. And you need to continue to encourage other people to do the right thing. Stay inside, don't go to work unless you are considered someone essential, or you have a job that is essential, or you are doing something that is essential, like going to get food. Then otherwise, please stay inside. Help your elderly. The most at risk are going to be people who are older, 65 years and above. So help them, get them food. Wear gloves. When you go to restaurants or drive-thrus, make sure that the people who are handing you your food are wearing gloves. Make sure that they are taking care of you, and make sure that they're taking care of themselves. As soon as one of those employees in a restaurant gets infected, they are going to spread it to every single customer that they come across. And the worst place that they could possibly be putting their hands is into a register without gloves. So if they are touching money, they need to be changing their gloves in between each and every customer. They need to be wiping down door handles, cash registers, anything that they touch a lot. They need to be wiping these things down with peroxide on a consistent basis. I run restaurants, and this is exactly what we do. And you need to pay attention to the health scores. If they didn't have a good health score before, if they weren't doing the right thing before the coronavirus, there's a very good likelihood that they are not going to be doing the right thing during the coronavirus. So don't think that things will all of a sudden have changed for a restaurant, like a McDonald's, a Burger King, wherever. Don't think that these things have all of a sudden changed just because coronavirus is happening, and now they're going to magically start taking care of the food and taking care of their customers. You have the responsibility for yourself and your community and everybody you come into contact with.